Welcome to Friday afternoon and my kitchen with Mrs. Rogers Live. Today we are going to be making the new Instagram craze of cloud eggs. However, I'm going to put a bit of a twist on it because sometimes just an egg's not enough. So I have a really big mushroom and I've peeled most of it. You should never wash mushrooms. You should always either just leave them as they are, give them a rub with a tea towel if they've got a bit of dirt on them, or you can actually peel them. You can do this to the little ones as well, but these big guys peel really easy. And you can see there I've just got a nice sort of surface and no overhang on that side. Let me just get rid of that. Now I'm also going to stuff this mushroom, so all I want to do is cut out the stalk. Now you could cut the stalk up and put it back into the mushroom, but we really don't need to do that now, so I'm also going to get rid of that. Mushrooms leak water when they're being cooked, which can sometimes help you with making sauces, but since we don't want sloppy eggs, I'm going to actually pre-cook my mushroom. This is also to release some of the water, but it is to just get some of that water out. Don't forget to like and share our video. Let's get it going around and everybody can see what we're doing with our cloud egg version from Mrs. Rogers today. So I've just got a lined baking tray. I'm going to put my mushroom down so that all the water and juices for the next few minutes run out. So, into the oven at 200 degrees Celsius. I've already preheated my oven. Try not to burn myself. Now what we are doing today is for one person. So basically you want one of everything for however many people you're going to feed. This is especially good and just in time for Mother's Day on Sunday. So, one egg. And we have to separate the white from the yolk. Now remember, everything you're going to be using with egg whites needs to be completely dry, because if you get any water in that, it's not going to whip up at all. So if in doubt, use something else, even if you've wiped it with a tea towel. So I can't crack eggs with one hand, and I don't want to break my yolk. I'm going to try very hard to keep my yolk intact. So you just want to get that little bit out. So these cloud eggs are a new rage on Instagram at the moment. Everybody seems to be making them and they're kind of fun. It's probably something dads and kids could do quite easily. And yeah, give it a go. So I'm just going to whisk this. You could use your electric beater, but guess what? Mine broke. But I figure if you're going to make this for Mother's Day, this is a really good part that the kids could help you with anyway. So pass it around the table, and it really doesn't take too long. If you had 6 eggs, you could probably put it in your electric beater or make it go a lot quicker. And as you can see, the egg whites are just starting to fluff up there. And my arm muscles are getting really big. So cloud eggs have been the new craze on Instagram for a while now. Lucky I'm ambidextrous. So we just thought we'd try it and make something different for Mother's Day. Don't forget to like and share our post so everyone can see me whipping an egg white. Got to change hands again. So now we just want to get it to the stage where it's slightly dry. At the moment it's quite creamy, and we just want to keep going until we get it to a stage where the peaks are going to stand up. Lucky I've done my arm exercises this week. Almost need some music on. Right, now that's looking quite good. So as you can see, the egg yolk's not, the egg white isn't dry, and the peaks are holding shape without sort of dropping backwards and forwards. So to that, we are going to add, and this is my secret, a large 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. That will just help the egg whites stay fluffy and give it just that little bit more of a solid kick. Now, today we're going to use the Mrs. Rogers garlic and herb salt, which is really yummy. It is nice. And one trick that I have discovered is if you actually push the lid on hard, you can grind it into the lid, which helps you get your desired amount a lot easier and a lot more control, because I do tend to oversalt. Okay. Now, if you've got any questions while I'm doing this, please feel free to ask and I will answer. You can tell it's Friday afternoon. I want a little bit more actually. I'm just going to do, so probably about a good teaspoon of the garlic and herb. You could use anything that you sort of feel you like. So in there I've got my mushroom cooking. He's looking pretty happy in the oven, and we're just whipping those egg whites. We've added a little bit of baking powder and about a teaspoon of the Mrs. Rogers garlic and herb salt. Now I'm going to pop that to the side, and I'm going to put my egg yolk up there and carefully go over to the oven and see how my mushroom is going. Doesn't need to be completely cooked, we just wanted it to have a bit of a head start before we stuff it with the other ingredients. Always remember to shut your oven, because we're coming back to that, and if the door's not shut, it means your oven's not on. Okay, now he's starting to soften, which is really good. For the stuffing, you could do anything you like, but since I'm doing a Mother's Day breakfast, I've chosen the things that I like. So I'm going to put some bacon. We don't want a lot of fat on there because the bacon is not going to get crispy. So you could use breakfast sausage, you could use just avocado and things like that. You could pretty much use anything that you want.
Thanks everyone for sharing the video. There's a couple of people who have done that. That's nice.
Thanks for sharing.
Much appreciated.
Now I've got these little cherry tomatoes just for colour. I think they're nice. And I've just cut them into quarters. And then I'm going to treat myself with some Parmesan cheese. Not too much, because you don't want too much flavour going on there. Now, with our egg whites, I have the best spatula ever for the best mum ever. Found that. So we just want to plop or dollop our egg white cloud on, and the kids would really like this because it's not a perfect meal. It just is. It just is a meal, and there's no right or wrong. You could pretty much do it with whatever you want. Now the trick here is to make a little hole for your yolk. If your mum or your person you're feeding this to or yourself, if you prefer to have a runny yolk, don't put the yolk in there yet. We're going to do that in about 4 minutes once we throw this guy in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius, so don't change it. That's a fan bake. It's quite hot, I know, but we're really just cooking through and warming through everything in there. So if anyone's got any questions, now's a really good time to ask me, because I can't really do anything for the next 4 minutes while this cooks. Oh, that reminds me, I'm terrible with timing, so I am actually going to put my timer on. We need to cook that part of the egg stage for 5 minutes. So if you wanted to pop your egg in then, you could just cook it for 5 minutes and be done with it. However, I don't want to. I'm going to show you with a runny yolk. I'm going to slice it nicely. Things to talk about. The product I used today was the garlic and herb salt. However, you can use anything that you really want in the way of herbs and spices. You could really spice it up with a bit of Cajun pepper or yeah, all sorts. Any herbs. Italian herbs would be nice. You could do some sliced tomato with Italian herbs and a little bit of avocado on top. You could sprinkle cheese on top if you like, but as you'll see, the way the cloud egg comes out, it goes really nice and crunchy and tasty. The other thing is we've got Mrs. Rogers, all of our grinders are refillable, and these are a perfect size. They also look really cute for on your table. So as you can see, really easily refillable, very easy to adjust the size of what you want. So if you wind it down, you're going to get a very, and again I'm using the lid, a very fine salt. And if you take it up a little bit, you can actually see how wide it gets down here, and that will give you a coarser salt, but still ground. Now it does that for all the peppers. Everything that comes in a grinder is completely adjustable. Even this little guy has a simple twist mechanism. She says simple. It is simple, and it adjusts the different amount to grind it to. Don't forget to go to Messenger and ask Mrs. Rogers any questions about our herbs and spices. She's very fun to talk to, kind of interesting. Ask her a few tricky questions and we'll see what she comes back with. Our Instagram is at Mrs. Rogers NZ, so please start to follow us. We've got some pretty funky photos up there, and we'd love for you to share or tell your friends, like our Facebook. Also, if you are going to make this, why don't you post your picture up on the feed, and we'll just see what yours looks like. Everyone's is different. Everyone has different tastes, so it's, yeah, let's see. Now I've got just about a minute to go on there, and as I said, I wanted them for 5 minutes. I set it to 4. It's starting to look nice and crispy on the top. You could leave it in for a little bit longer if you wanted, if you really like sort of harder cooked eggs. But sometimes it's quite nice to have the consistency from the mushroom to the egg white. You want a different sort of texture. Now the other thing is, what are you doing for Mother's Day? Is breakfast your big thing, or do you do a big lunch with everybody? I'm really lucky this year. I have 3 children, and my daughter made a beautiful little plant, and those are her little fingerprints making some little bugs on it, on my flower pot, which I keep in my kitchen next to my Mrs. Rogers salt and pepper grinders. Oh, I've got 22 seconds to go. So I'm actually just going to chuck my egg yolk in there now. Okay, so as hopefully you might be able to see, it's getting nice. Oh, and I broke my egg yolk. Oh, never mind, it's still food. So I need to set that for 1 more minute, because it's surprising how fast a minute goes. Well, 1 minute and 5 seconds, that'll do. So yeah, what are you doing for Mother's Day? I'm kind of hoping that I get a bit of a sleep in. I probably won't, but that will be fun. My kids have bought some little presents for me from school, and they've made cards. Funnily enough, I think I know everything I've got, so that's kind of cute. It's very nice. My mum lives in a different country, so I won't be able to see her for Mother's Day, but I'm sure we will call and FaceTime or do anything, things like that. Hopefully our Mrs. Rogers twist on the cloud egg will be nearly done. We've got about 20 seconds to go. You could do all sorts actually. You could sprinkle cheese on top. You could fill it with all sorts of different things. You could do a really nice twist on a like a tomato salsa sort of on top of your mushroom. And you can use something other than a mushroom if you like. If you don't like mushrooms, make a bacon basket and put it in that. There we go. The magic timer has gone off. Okay, now that is looking perfect. Perfectly cooked. Don't forget to turn off your oven. Okay, now because we cooked that mushroom a little bit beforehand, it's really nice. It's not going to be raw on the inside, which is always the best thing. Raw mushrooms are nice in salad, but not with eggs. Okay, so I'm going to serve it best I can without breaking myself, and I'm just going to get rid of this hot tray so that I don't burn myself or any of my microphone cords. Now, let's see how it looks inside. The Mrs. Rogers Cloud Egg Breakfast. Okay, let's see if we can open that to the camera. Oh, look, and perfectly runny yolk, beautiful egg, bacon, runny cheese. What more could you want, really? It's just yum.
What's the texture
Very
like?
yum. The texture's lovely. It's sort of crunchy on the top. A little bit like a meringue, because that's basically what egg whites are, is whipped up meringue, and whether you put sugar or herbs with them is whether they're sweet or savoury. So the Mrs. Rogers Cloud Egg on a mushroom.
Recap.
Now to recap, that was real easy. So per person you want one mushroom, slightly pre-cooked, layered, and with anything you want. Whip your egg whites, put a little bit of baking powder and a Mrs. Rogers herbs, and pop it all together on top of the mushroom. Make a little hole in the middle, put your egg yolk in, wait if you want it slightly runny like this one is, and yeah, voila, in the oven, 5 minutes, done. Thanks so much for watching. Please share. Please pass on to your friends. Have a lovely Mother's Day and a fantastic weekend.